everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this terrific Tuesday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And as you can tell by the title of tonight's video, why so many? And the reason why I ask that is because if you're a wrestling fan, you know this, but if you're not, you may not know this or haven't thought about it. But we have 4 pay-per-views this weekend. On Sunday, I talked about Night of Champions. Good evening, Kevron. Glad to have you here, as always. And I did that one first because that one is Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock because they're in Saudi Arabia. But on Sunday, we have an pay-per-view, an AEW pay-per-view, and a TNA pay-per-view. So you have WWE and the WWE Developmental System and TNA and AEW all running pay-per-views the same weekend. I don't get it. I don't understand it. To me, that's too many at one time, especially when you consider that NXT is really not a pay-per-view. It's pay-per-view by name, but it's going to be on the CW. So they're going to try to, bill it and advertise it as a pay-per-view, but it's on TV. So you're going to see the same amount of commercial breaks you would for a Tuesday night show. So you're probably going to see 30, 35 minutes of commercials, which is more than you see on pay-per-view. So it's going to be a regular TV show. But NXT is at 7 o'clock Sunday. And then TNW are at 8 o'clock Sunday, not counting the pre-shows. So basically going to have 3 on at the same time. And if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to have to choose which one to watch. There's no way to watch all 3 unless you've got a room with 3 TVs. You can put them all side by side and just move your head like this the entire time. But outside of that, you got to pick one. And you could easily, record the other ones and go back and watch them later. But this day and time with Google, what most people do is they're going to watch whichever one they choose to watch. And then the other ones, they're going to get on Google and read the results, maybe watch a highlight package, and that's it. So why so many at one time, I don't know. But since we discussed the Night of Champions on Sunday, tonight we'll talk about the Great American Bash, and we'll talk about TNA's pay-per-view. And then coming up later on in the week, hopefully before Sunday, we can talk about pay-per-view. Now, TNA is doing a anniversary, which is basically their WrestleMania. So this is when you'll see all the best matches. You're going to see debuts. You're going to see stars that ain't been around in a while going to show back up. So it'll be really good. But the Great American Bash only has 5 matches because it's going to be on TV, so there'll be commercial breaks after every single match. And I'm not talking about 45 seconds. I'm talking 3.5 minute commercial breaks. Well, we've got Lola Vice versus Kendall Gray for the NXT Women's Championship. Tony D'Angelo versus Naraku for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. Miles Bourne versus Tavian Heights for the NXT North American Championship. Ren Sinclair versus either Ariana Grace or Izzy Dame for the Women's Speed Championship. And then Saquon Sugars versus Dion Lennox. And that's your 5 matches from Great American Bash. Sunday, 7 o'clock on the CW in Orlando. So it's going to be at the Performance Center, the same building as the regular Tuesday night shows. So it's going to feel just like a Tuesday night show because it's going to be in the same building on the same network. They're probably going to do the TV production where they try to make it seem like a pay-per-view, but it's basically just going to be a Tuesday night show on a Sunday night. As far as TNA goes, 9 matches for Slammiversary. We have Eric Young versus Ricky Sosa, Elijah versus AJ Francis, Eddie Edwards versus Moose, and then we have the TNA International Championship, Mustafa Ali versus a mystery opponent because it will be an open challenge. And as I said, this is TNA's Slammiversary, which is their WrestleMania. So I'm sure you're probably going to see some of the recently released WWE stars show up Sunday. So one of them might be Mustafa Ali's mystery opponent. We have the Elegance brand versus Ali and Rosemary for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship. And we have the TNA Knockouts title on the line. Leah Ying Lee versus Zaya Brookside. The System versus the Hardy Boys versus the Righteous for the TNA Tag Team titles. And then we have a long match as far as participants. It's the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. Cedric Alexander, Leon Slater, Frankie Kazarian, Mr. Elegance, Fabian Aichner, who used to be Giovanni Vinci in WWE. His real name is Fabian Aichner. AC Navarro and Amazing Red. Those 7 guys will battle it out in the Ultimate X match. And then what I presume will be the main event, Mike Santana versus Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Championship. This is all going to take place in Boston, Massachusetts. Hey there, you wascally wabbits. Glad to have you here. And hey there, Charisse. Hopefully that is Charisse. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize, but glad to have you here. And there was another Charisse, unless it was you and it's been so long I have forgotten, but there was Charisse that was in the comment section probably, 4 months ago, and I called her Charisse and she said that was correct. So if that's you, glad to have you back. If you're another Charisse, glad to have you here. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, and make sure you click that bell so you'll get notified whenever we go live. And give the video a like, a thumbs up, and I would greatly appreciate it. It takes a total of about 2 seconds. So we have 5 matches for the Great American Bash and 9 matches for Slammiversary. And on Sunday, when I went over WWE's Night of Champions, there's 6 matches there. And then I'm going to try to do AEW's pay-per-view, which is also going to be Sunday, sometime before Sunday gets here. But I don't ever recall having 4 pay-per-views in the same weekend. I know they do it for competition. I understand that. I get that. That's what sports is about, is competition. I get it. But from a fan perspective, it's hard because you feel like they're forcing you to pick one. And if you're a wrestling fan, you don't want to pick one because that means you're missing the others. You want to be able to watch them all. But I guess they don't want to do any next weekend, since next weekend is July 4th weekend, and the 4th actually falls on a Saturday. So maybe that's why they're all this weekend. But I'll go with the fact that my birthday's on Monday, and I think all these wrestling promotions are doing their pay-per-views in honor of my birthday coming up on Monday. And I mentioned this last night, but I'll quickly bring it up again in case you missed my video from last night, but me and my man JJ from over at Greenville Sports Media, we do a podcast every single week. Did 2 this week because of the pay-per-views this weekend, but normally it's 1 podcast a week called Wrestling and Racing. We're going to have this tournament. We're going to try to break it down kind of like what you'd see in a March Madness tournament where we have eliminations, where we're going to have 2 sides. One side, I guess you could call the older side. It's going to go from 74 to 2000. And then the other side will be more the modern day side from 2001 until today. And we're trying to find the best women wrestlers, the best tag team wrestlers, and the best singles wrestlers from those generations. So if you've got a favorite wrestler you like from the 80s, he would go on the 74 through 2000 side. If you've got one that you like from the last 10 years, he would go on the 2001 through 2026 side. And we're doing tag teams, singles wrestlers, and women's singles wrestlers. I don't think we're going to do women's tag team wrestling for a class or division, because back in the day there was hardly no women's tag team wrestling at all, and they've got it now. But I mean, we all know most of these women's tag teams, they just take 2 women and put them together, and they're broken up in 6 months. You'd be hard pressed to find even hardcore wrestling fans that could tell you who the current WWE women's tag team wrestling champions are, because nobody cares. So it's kind of a waste of time to do women's tag team wrestling. But we are going to do women's wrestlers from today and from back in the day, and singles wrestlers and tag team wrestlers. So if you have anybody that you like, feel free to message me on Facebook if you're on Facebook, or you can leave a comment on here, or you can leave a comment on the Greenville Sports Media Twitter page, which I believe is Greenville SM. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How do you tell the difference between a dogwood tree and an oak tree? By its bark. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.